All right. Good morning, my friends. Welcome to kind of an unusual dividend happy hour. I apologize I wasn't able to get together with you guys last night. Some of you guys I saw prior to going live were leaving comments from last night here in the chat. What's going on? No stream tonight. What's happening? And I apologize for the inconvenience. I ended up getting together with my man Professor G last night. He's in town for the last couple of days, so we were able to get together for a quick beer, which was a lot of fun. Really good to see him, but that got in the way of our usually regular scheduled program. But anyway, hopefully this morning makes up to it or makes up for it, guys. JJ says hand up if you're ready for a beer. But nonetheless, guys, welcome to another dividend happy hour. Hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Happy Saturday. And let me know a few things here in the live chat. I mean, for most of us, it's probably going to be morning time. At least it's about 9 a.m. here in Las Vegas. Some of you guys, it might just be touching the afternoon. Some of you guys around the world, time might be a little bit crazy. But yeah, let me know a few things here in the live chat or in the comments below. Number one, what are you sipping on right now? I've got myself a little cup of Joe here. This is my second cup today, and I definitely need it. Yeah, definitely need it. So let me know what you're sipping on today. Number two, let me know, what did you guys buy this week? What's been happening in your guys' portfolios? What purchases did you make? I want to hear what you guys added to over in your portfolio this week. And also number three, let me know if anything cool has happened in your guys' portfolio this last week. Any milestones? Maybe you hit 100 shares of SCHD, who just had their reconstitution yesterday. I'm going to be putting out a video on that sometime soon once all that information comes out. So stay tuned. But yeah, maybe you hit 100 shares of SCHD. Maybe you're on track to have your highest month of dividend income ever. Anything cool that's happened in your guys' portfolio lately? I want to hear about it here in the live chat. Let me go through. Real quick and see who we got here. I see the backdoor assassin in the building. I told you that nickname was going to stick. Good to see you, Kevin. Thank you all for tuning in this morning too. Once again, I apologize for the inconvenience, especially those of you guys who, and I put out a community post about it. I message about it in the Discord, but I understand not everyone gets to see those. So I apologize if you guys didn't see any of the messages about the reschedule. I apologize there. We got Anthony here. Hi all, 4:45 in the morning. Wow. The missus finished work at 2 a.m., so a few beers in now. Wow, good for you, my friend. You are starting the day off early, or maybe you haven't gone to bed yet. Who knows? J-Lock's here. Good to see you. Let's see. We got our friend here, and I definitely don't know how to pronounce that, but nonetheless, I'm happy to see you. Shamir, good to see you, my friend. We got Chris here, who's on his way to the Cheesecake Factory. That sounds pretty good. I haven't been to the Cheesecake Factory in a long time. I actually don't know that I've been to the Cheesecake Factory since I moved here to Vegas. Maybe once. Maybe, I don't remember. If I've gone, it's not been here in Vegas. It would have been like if I went back home or something, but love the Cheesecake Factory. Love it, love it. I always get the there's a couple different cheesecakes I'll get. One is like the Oreo cheesecake. And then I'm a sucker for like anything Oreo. Love Oreos. And then there's like some sort of chocolate peanut butter one. It's like the Adams peanut butter one. You know what I'm talking about? I'll usually get one of those two. If I'm getting cheesecake, those are the ones I go for. Let's see. Who else we got? We got Villo. Good to see you. Daryl's here. Of course he is. Happy to see you, Daryl. Dorte, good afternoon from Denmark. Very nice. Stay Humble 23. Happy to see you. Joyce, good afternoon to you as well. Thanks for tuning in. Shaw Dog, howdy from Georgia. Very nice. We've got Kevin. Big bag Kevin Burgess enters the room like Kramer from Seinfeld. I love it. Just slides right through the door, spazzing out a little bit. Love me some Seinfeld. On that note, semi-related note, have any of you guys been keeping up with the latest season of Curb Your Enthusiasm, the 10th and final season? Let me know if you guys watch Curb at all. I haven't seen the entire season, but I've seen the first handful of episodes this season. Pretty good. Let's see here. We've got JJ, hands up if you're ready for a beer. Man, I don't know. I'll tell you what, I had a cup. I had one yesterday out with Nolan, and I had a couple margaritas here at the house, and I'm feeling it this morning. I'm not going to lie, but we're going to soldier on. Speaking of soldiering on, where is he? You guys see him back there? Say hi. Say hi. You guys know what that means. You gotta swig. Those are the rules. I don't make the rules, but we do follow them here on the channel. Jeff here, listening to you on my way to a wedding. Need to do a best man speech. Wow, needed some additional motivation. Okay, so I've got kind of a funny story. So I've got kind of a funny story. Goodness gracious, it's going to be a stream today, guys. It's going to be something else. This is going to be anyway. So I was a best man. This was maybe almost a decade ago at this point. I was the best man in my friend Zach's wedding, and I had to give a speech. And so, I don't know. Anyway, I started off the speech with I don't remember the entire thing, but I remember I started it off by saying fornication, and I just paused, said just one word, fornication. Everyone looked around, was like looking around at each other, like, did he just say fornication? And then people were like, what the heck's going on? And after the pause, I said, "Oh, excuse me. For an occasion, I kind of like clarified it. You get the joke, obviously, but as soon as I did that, an eruption of laughter. So, Jeff, feel free to steal that one. It worked pretty well for me one time. I don't know the crowd. You got to read the room, but could be a good one to sneak in there at the start. But good luck on your speech, man. That's not public speaking is not easy stuff. So, but you'll do good. You'll do good. You'll have to let us know how the speech goes for you, though. Shamir says, Russ had a stream on at 9 p.m. thinking you were streaming at your usual time last night. I know him and I actually literally right before I went live, we were texting and I sent him a quick voice message back. But yeah, I actually need to check out his stream. I was watching some other YouTube videos when I was cooking. I recently got this this Amazon Echo thing that it's like a kind of a just a little screen that you can prop up. You're supposed to mount it, but we got like a swivel stand for it. And that's been really cool. I've been able to, and I've got my iPad to put it up on my phone if I wanted to, but been watching YouTube when I was cooking. So that's been really cool to have lately. But I was going to watch Russ's stream. That's what I was trying to say. I was going to watch his stream, but I ended up watching this watch video, which was fun. But yeah. Hopefully I'm sure it was a fun stream last night. I know he was talking about Altria Group. I know he's kind of starting to sell off some of his position in Altria. And him, Harris, and I were texting about that as well. And I do have some thoughts on Altria, which as we kind of get through this chat, I'll share some more of those. But anyway, let's keep going here. I'm getting a little behind in the chat. We didn't do our cheers though. Cheers. Here's to you guys. Totally skipped over that. I apologize, but cheers. Here's to you guys. Thank you for tuning in. Let me show you what's on my mug here. My little brother got this mug for me. See if it'll focus. So this is from a few years ago. There's me right there. It's my two brothers on the outside. And then my grandparents, my Nana and my grandpa there, front and center. Unfortunately, my grandpa here is no longer with us. But this was we went to this restaurant in Palm Springs called Lord Fletcher's. It was one of my grandpa's favorite spots. The funny thing about my grandpa, he always had his favorite spots wherever we'd go, whether it was Palm Springs or Tahoe or even just like driving. What were we doing? I think I don't know where we were driving on that Palm Springs trip, but anyway, wherever we would go on vacation, they were always big fans of road trips. So they always had their spots, and he loved Cracker Barrel too. That was anywhere there was a Cracker Barrel, he'd want to go. But Lord Fletcher's in Palm Springs was one of his spots. There's another place in Palm Springs called Don and Sweet Sue's. I'll never forget it. It was so my grandpa, we go to this Don and Sweet Sue's place, one of his favorite spots in Palm Springs, and he gets this big, big foot-long hot dog and just loads it up with what he thinks is relish. No, this was actually a different time. So anyway, he gets this. The story I'm thinking of, it wasn't at Don and Sweet Sue's. It was actually in Lake Tahoe. We'd barbecued hot dogs, and he asks someone, maybe it was like my fiance or someone else, to pass the relish or something. And or actually, no, it was right in front of him. Grabs what he thinks is the relish, puts it all over his hot dog, and it turns out it's Italian dressing. And we're like watching this happen, and he's not even fazed by it one bit. He doesn't even realize that he didn't put relish on his hot dog. He didn't even realize it was Italian dressing. And I know I totally butchered that story, but like I said, guys, I need a little bit more coffee in me. But yeah, my grandpa was one of a kind, that's for sure. So anyway, let's keep going here. I see Andrew, Michael. Okay, there we go. Starting to get into some of the purchases here. Why don't we get into a little bit of that? There we go. Shamir says Cherry Coke, bought some Starbucks. Very nice. Chris says I bought Walmart, VU, really nice shopping spree here. SCHD, Vici Properties, and Apple. Nice pickups, man. Excuse me. There we go. Thunderous Fixation, which is a very strong name. Very strong name. My morning coffee. There you go. Also making JEPQ my biggest holding in the portfolio. I'd be curious to know if you'd be so inclined to share what is it about JEPQ that makes you want to have it be the biggest holding in your portfolio? I'm curious to know just kind of where you think it fits in the portfolio to be that large for you. That's cool though. But yeah, I'd love to hear more on that. We got Jeremy here who started QQQM, Main Street, and some more JEPQ. Very nice. We got Tony, Wiffle Ball Tony. Hey, Tony. What are you doing? Drinking some coffee. Picked up some Vici Properties, some Realty Income. Bada boom, bada bing. Very nice. Good buys this week. Yeah, Realty Income, guys. What's the price at with Realty Income right now? I think they're probably pretty close to dipping below 50 at this point. Let's go over here, take a look. Yeah, okay, maybe not. So 52.19. They saw a little bit of a gain on Friday, so they were in the mid 51s coming into the weekend, or coming into Friday, excuse me. So they're starting to get down there though. What have they done in the last month? They're pretty flat. Year to date, they're down for sure, down 9%. So this is about $52 a share. I think under $52 per share is where, I guess it would have been, yeah, right in here. It's where I picked up, I ended up buying about 30 shares last month. I think somewhere right in here. Actually, it would have been like right here. So about 52, about where it's at now. But yeah, good buy. Both of them are good buys. Vici is looking really good too. Anthony says yesterday, this is cool. Really cool milestone, actually. Yesterday, I got my first full share of VU. Nice. That's not an easy one to acquire shares of. So I think VU's probably close to $500 a share right now, right? VU's at $470. So yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. So good job, Anthony. Keep it up. Michael here says, hopefully I pronounced your name right. I probably mispronounced that. Mikal, I don't know. I apologize. I'm close. I know I'm right there, but I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. Bought 8 shares of BTI yesterday. Very nice. Good stuff. Oh, this is cool. Jay says, good morning. Just getting one of our rentals ready for rent. Good job. Is this a long-term rental, like a rental property, or are you doing like Airbnb, more short-term rental type stuff? I'd be curious to hear, Jay. Yeah, I'd love to hear about your rental too. Is the single family home, duplex, condo? What are you rocking with over there? I'd love to hear a little bit about that. And also, for the rest of you guys out there, I'd be curious to hear too. Any of you guys invest in real estate, or any of you guys into that, or is everyone here strictly stock investors? I know Kevin, excuse me, Kevin Burgess has at least 1 or 2 different properties, if I'm not mistaken. So, but outside of Kevin, yeah, what do you guys got going on in the real estate department? Anything there, or strictly stocks? I'd love to hear. So, okay. Dorte says, my LICY just doubled. Just doubled? Not paying dividends, though. Not yet. Maybe in the future. Good stuff. JLock here. SWBI had a nice 30% share price pop. Wow. SWBI. Which one is that? That is, excuse me, SWBI. You know what, guys? I need to move my coffee because I'm going to knock it over. I already know it. Oh, Smith & Wesson. Yeah. 30% pop yesterday? Yeah, looks like it. What's going on with these guys? Oh, yeah. Maybe not yesterday, but in the last week or so, right? That's crazy. So they must have had really good earnings right here. Let's check this out here. Thanks for sharing this, JLock. This was not even on my radar. I follow, excuse me. I think I have SWBI in my watch list. No, I don't. How do I not have this one in the watch list? Okay, well, we'll add it. Let's put it there to the watch list. Okay. Okay, so they beat on earnings by 9 cents. That's a pretty solid beat. Almost to like a 50% beat, actually. Revenue's up 6.5% year over year, beat by almost 4 million. Nice. Q3 gross margin of 28.7%, non-GAAP 29%. What is the, take a spin through some of the financials here. Interesting. Not very strong revenue growth. In fact, revenue is really on an absolute basis over the last 10 years is it's lower today than it was 10 years ago. So that's not a great sign. It does look like they're reducing some of their operating expenses. So that's good. But still their operating income's going down, but that's just a result of revenue and gross profits going down. So net income, same story. But I would imagine if they're lowering their operating expenses, they're probably becoming more profitable over time. Let's look at it like this. So, actually, not necessarily. Gross profit went from low 40s to they're like below 30. So that's not great. Yeah, I don't know about Smith and Wesson, unfortunately. Legendary company, obviously, but these financials do not necessarily bode well for I would say share price growth, um, dividend growth for sure. But yeah, I don't know about this one. I've seen better for sure. And that's kind of I feel like I'm kind of seeing. Anyway, I'll get to Altria. I want to talk a little bit about Altria, but I'll get there later on in the stream. Let's keep going through the chat. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. One thing at a time, Ryan. Come on. Okay. And I apologize if I skip over some of your guys' comments here. Daryl said, really nice buys with these. ADC, which is Agree Realty, Altria, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Realty Income, and Vici Properties. Nice. Good stuff. My man Luis in the building. Greetings from Mexico. Greetings to you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Happy to see you. There we go. Mill's on a little vacation in Rome, sipping some orange juice. That sounds awesome. That sounds really cool. So have a good time. I hope you have a good trip and a safe trip as well. Let's see. Have some pizza for me too. That sounds so bomb right now, pizza. Haas here bought some Vici, BAM, and TD, Toronto Dominion, on track to have my highest dividend month and recently crossed 2,000 in estimated annual dividend income. That's great. That's a really cool milestone. Keep it up. Okay, we got FC here. I started a full portfolio transfer from M1 over to Fidelity. So far, I'm really impressed with their offerings. I purchased we don't know what happened from there. So, my man Svetlin, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're having a great day and a great weekend so far. So interesting. Chris, I've never had cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory before. I might have to change that today. Yeah, man. I mean, definitely get some, have some cheesecake and then go get like a leg workout and put those carbs to use. But yeah. Like I said, I'm a fan of the Oreo or like the Adams chocolate peanut butter one. Like Oreo and Reese's are probably like two of my favorite things of all time. Candy wise. Actually, if we're going sweets, if we're going desserts, chocolate chip cookies, 100%. And my fiance, and I'm not even just trying to toot her horn right now, she makes the world's best chocolate chip cookies. So good. Which is dangerous. They're very dangerous. I'm pretty good when it comes to like, if I'm dieting or something, if I'm trying to be regimented, I'm pretty good. Like my willpower is pretty strong. But not when it comes to chocolate chip cookies. I am powerless before chocolate chip cookies. Tomas here. Hey, Ryan, thanks to you, started dividend investing. And in my second month, now receiving $7. My friend, that's awesome. You could take yourself to Starbucks and get yourself a grande dark roast with a croissant with those $7. That's great. You motivate me to continue focusing on where I can be in 4 years. Congrats on the wedding. Thank you, my friend. That's all, if I can do that, if I can just get you guys stoked about this investing stuff, which is not always an exciting thing, but if I can show you it can be exciting, it can be fun, and it can be easier than you think, then if that's your takeaway from watching my stuff, if your takeaway is if a simpleton such as Ryan can do this stuff, then I certainly can as well. That's great. Like that's a job well done in my book. Shamir says, if you're a sucker for Oreos, Maybe you should look into Mondelez. Maybe I should. Maybe I should. But I'd probably look at Mondelez and be like, yeah, it's good, but I'd probably rather just buy more Procter and Gamble. Let's see. Matthias, hopefully I pronounced that right. Hi, Ryan from Belgium. That's awesome. Watching all the way from Belgium. It always, it never ceases to amaze me just the reach that we're able to get with this stuff, guys. It's so cool to see dividend investors or investors in general from all over the world tuning in. I really appreciate all of your guys' support. It's really cool to see that we're all able to come together over this. What a world we live in. Crazy. Shadog here says big SCHD milestone this week, 2,000 shares. Holy cow. Holy cow. What's that? So let's crunch some numbers on that real quick. So every single year, SCHD pays 266. Okay, 266 in dividends per share times 2.66 times 2,000. So you're looking at about $5,300 of annual dividend income just from SCHD. That's crazy. Divided by 12. Okay, almost $450 on average per month just from SCHD, which means that every quarter when you do get those payments, you're looking at about a $1,300 payment every quarter. That's legit. Good job. And Shawdog, I'd be curious to know too, like how long did it take you to build up to that point where, you've reached 2,000 shares of SHD? What's kind of been your accumulation strategy with that fund? I'm curious to know just kind of what that looked like, how long it's taken and all that stuff. Because that's inspiring, very inspiring. Okay, my man Joe reached 100 shares of Vici Properties. That's another really cool milestone. Good job, Joe. That's great. Let's see, my man Felipe. Hey, Ryan, how are you? Felipe, I'm doing good. I'm starting to wake up a little bit. I've been having kind of a rough morning, but we're doing good. Life's good. I can't complain. How are you doing? Let me know how you're doing. Svetlin, hi from London. Crazy, guys. London, all the way. Man, that's great. Happy to hear from you, my friend. Cheers. Yeah, Felipe, my Brazilian friend from Pompano. Wow, that's great. Wow, Sebastian from Chile. Man, guys, we've got investors everywhere today. That's cool. I think that's probably, maybe we're seeing this more than usual just because we're doing the stream at a different time. That's my only guess for that. But nonetheless, guys, I appreciate all of you guys tuning in here. So we're already 25 minutes into the stream. This one's going by pretty quick, and I'm quite behind in the live chat right now. So I apologize, guys. I'm just having fun, just seeing what you guys have to say and all that stuff. So I apologize if I'm slacking here in the live chat, taking too slow to read your stuff, but we'll get through it all, guys. We'll get through it all. Joyce has a really cool milestone here. Finally, a 200 month in dividends. That's incredible. That is a really cool milestone. And $200 reinvested every single month, an extra $50 a week or $50 reinvested every single week or so. That the compounding is going to start picking up for sure. So good job, Joyce. You're on fire. Oh yeah, Jay here says. So you and I are in the same boat with this one. Not with Starbucks. I bought Visa this week, but picked up Starbucks this week. Also hit my first stock over 100% with Williams-Sonoma this week. Yeah. So congratulations to all the Williams-Sonoma shareholders out there. It's been quite a ride with this company this last year. I just want to show you guys what I'm rocking with as far as Williams-Sonoma goes real quick. So we're going to go over tier 2. And by the way, guys, as I've been pulling this up, I totally forgot to mention this, but this is my free dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet. I give this away for free if you guys want to grab this for yourselves and start using it to track your own portfolio. There's a link to this spreadsheet in the description of the video. It's like the top link right there. So you just click the link and it'll take you right to where you can download the spreadsheet. But over here, looking at my Williams-Sonoma position, guys. So first and foremost, I have just 18 shares of this company at an average cost of $133.08. And I remember when I first was like considering buying into it, I remember being unsure because I'd seen it go from about $115 per share to this, $130, $133 in a matter of days. It jumped quick. And I was kind of stressing out because I was thinking, gosh, did I miss my chance? Should I hold off on buying, waiting to see if it's going to come back down to, 120 or below? What do I do? And through the guidance of the Discord group, actually, which also you can join for free. There's a link to join the Discord group in the description of the video. They were able to kind of, I remember being talked off the ledge there and just being told, just start buying into it slowly but surely, start adding to it little by little. And, over a long period of time, it'll work out. And sure enough, at least so far, sure enough, it has. So average cost of 133.08. And obviously the share price is, about $150 higher than that. So looking at my return now, I'm seeing a gain of about 113%, almost 115% on a total return basis. So this one's done really well for me. This is by far the best performing position in the portfolio. And I'm thanking my lucky stars for now that it's worked out this way, and just keeping my fingers crossed that the company continues to see success. But it's a really strong company. You look at the financials, it's honestly the opposite of what you'd find with Smith & Wesson. We'll go through it in just a moment. But the last thing I want to show you guys with this position here is I was actually looking at this earlier this morning prior to going live. Just wondering, because the share price has run up so much this last year. It's up, I think, close to 140% now in the last 365 days. And so with that, as the share price goes up, the dividend yield is going to go down. And so, obviously the dividend yield, the current yield has come down quite a bit since when I first bought. And so I was just wondering, what's my yield on cost with Williams-Sonoma right now? Because I remember it being, I don't remember it being where it's at now, 3.2%. I thought it was in the high twos, but maybe with the recent, the recent dividend growth announcement, they announced a raise of 26%. Maybe that bumped the yield on cost even more. I'm not sure if that's been updated yet here in the annual dividend column or not, but maybe we'll check that out. We'll check that out right now, actually. So Williams-Sonoma, we'll go look at the financials too. I just want to show you guys kind of what they're rocking with there in terms of revenue and profits and stuff like that. Okay, so declares 113. Yeah, so 113, 226, 452 should be the annual. So I think it should be a little bit higher than this, right? I think, unless I'm miscalculating. But so anyway, it does seem like this is kind of, no, actually, no, it's not, because the forward yield, the forward yield is 1.88%. But here in the spreadsheet, it's only 1.49%. So I think this needs to adjust here on the spreadsheet. So that'll put my yield on cost even higher, just for fun. So let's just see. So that should put my yield on cost at 3.4% when it's all said and done, which is a nice gain over the dividend yield, the current yield. So that's looking good. But anyway, going to Williams-Sonoma, guys, just showing you some of the company's financials. Actually, let's start with the share price here. Just look at that. Beautiful. That's a work of art. But going over here, you can see this is going to be the complete opposite of what we saw with Smith & Wesson a moment ago. Across the last decade, revenue has been trending up. Okay, so as gross profit, operating income, especially these last few years, like post-pandemic even, they really have seen some solid growth. But so we're looking at that on an absolute basis. Now looking at it as a percentage of of revenue, not only are things going up absolutely, but this company is also becoming more profitable over time. 10 years ago, their gross profit margin was about 38, high 30s, right? We'll just say high 30s. And now we're looking at low 40s on average. So over time, they're getting more profitable, becoming more financially efficient there. Operating income's looking great, going from, 10% up to 16% in the last 10 years. Net income margin, same thing. That's pretty much doubled over the last 10 years. So not only is this company generating more sales as time goes on, bringing more money into the business, but they're also able to hold on to more money at the end of the day. And that should show up here. If we go look at the statement of cash flows, that should show up here looking at their free cash flow. We can see that's kind of been true as well. For the most part, free cash flow has definitely trended up. This is certainly true on a per share basis, as they've also been buying back shares over the last 10 years. So overall, it seems like this company's financially firing on all cylinders, and the cherry on top is they have no long-term debt. We can see that their net debt right here is 128.6 million. Total debt's 1.4 billion, but none of that is long-term, I believe. Let's see. Current portion, no current debt, no long-term debt. So all the debt is pretty much just leases right here, right? Leases, other non-current liabilities, nothing too crazy. So hard to go bankrupt if you don't have any debt. So Williams-Sonoma has been looking great. But anyway, now I'm like almost 20 minutes behind in the chat, guys. I'm just gonna scroll down and get caught up here. If there's anything that jumps out, I'll pause it, but I'll stop and take a look at it. But otherwise, we're gonna get caught up here. Let's see. This is a good question. So, what are your thoughts on SHD and VU in the Roth IRA? I'm in my mid-20s, so I'm probably a biased person to ask this question to, because that's exactly what I have in my Roth IRA. Yeah, so every single week I personally invest in SHD and VU in my Roth, and I think it's a good move. You know, I in general, I think it's great that you're investing in your Roth IRA, and you know, I don't think you can go wrong investing in the holy grail of dividend ETFs, and I certainly don't think you can go wrong investing in the S&P 500. I would imagine that across, you know, these next 30 years or so, 33, 34 years, until you're able to start, you know, pulling from those investments once you reach 59 and a half, you know, across that period of time, I think you'll be handsomely rewarded for the consistency in investing in those two. So yeah, both great funds to invest in. You can't go wrong just dollar cost averaging into those. So yeah, Salvatore says, Ryan in the house. Here I am. We got Robert from Holland. Man, all the international investors are coming out this morning. It's good to see all you guys. It's cool to do this every once in a while. So some of the people who can't make it to the Friday night live streams can tune into the Saturday morning ones. And this is kind of fun. Just a little coffee and cash flow. So there we go. Hunter says, hey, Ryan, been watching for a couple months now. Great content and community. Thank you, my friend. I'll take credit for the content, but I can't take any of the credit for the community. That's all you guys. You guys are a great group of people. And yeah, it's a really cool thing. I picked up some ADM, Cisco, General Mills, and Glad this week. Very nice. Good stuff. Salvatore has a really nice milestone here. Finally got to $1,000 per year in dividend stocks. Good job, my friend. That's great. Oh, Dave says, I'm a 40-minute flight from you, brother, over in San Diego. I love it. Love it, man. If you're ever out in Vegas, let me know. It'd be fun to get together. Oh, this is nice too. Nehemiah, hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Hi from Texas. First time on your live stream. I really like your channel. Well, thank you, my friend. I truly appreciate that. Yeah, it's good to see you here in the stream. And just in case this is your guys' first time tuning into one of my live streams, typically I put out a live stream every week. I'll do this every single week. It's never usually on Saturdays. Usually this dividend happy hour takes place Friday evenings at 5 p.m. Pacific time or 8 p.m. Eastern time. So this is just kind of I wasn't able to stream last night, so we pushed it to this morning. But yeah, usually I stream every Friday night, and I'd love to see all you guys there. So, okay. Ryan, sold my rental house in this high real estate market and started investing the proceeds into SCHD every week. Very nice. Grateful for all the coaching. Cool. Very nice. Jeremy says, being from Washington State doesn't seem so exotic. That's funny. That is funny. There we go. Cool. Felipe says, I've been watching you for about 5 meses, which I think is months. My friend in Brazil, Leo Fittipaldi, sounds Italian almost, showed me your videos. He is a financial advisor in Brazil, and I learned a lot with him. Cool. That's awesome. We got Rui here. Good to see you, Rui. Let's see. Okay. So what do you think of average yield 6% with 8% CAGR across 13 stocks and 7 industries? I mean, just if those are your overall dividend stats, I don't know what those holdings are. So, just you want to make sure that those are high quality investments, high quality holdings, but just very surface level looking at the yield and growth CAGR, that's pretty sweet. High yield and high growth. That's certainly ideal. But yeah, I don't know exactly what holdings you have. This is a really great question. Where did you guys learn to read balance sheets? So, I got something for you here. So, let's see. So, I will say that coming into investing, and for any new investor too, I would say if you want to start learning how to better analyze stocks and better understand companies and stuff like that, it's going to be imperative to learn how to look at the three main financial statements: the income statement, balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows. And there's a few different things. Excuse me. There's a few different things that you can do to learn that stuff. Excuse me, guys. One of which obviously is just watch YouTube videos. You can search how to read an income statement, how to read balance sheet, how to read statement of cash flows. There's tons of videos on it. That's a great resource for sure. This book right here, though, is something that I'm a huge proponent of, and I go through this every day. I'll just read a chapter every day. Every chapter is like a page or a couple pages. But this is Warren Buffett in the interpretation of financial statements, and this will take you line item by item on the income statement, the balance sheet, and the statement of cash flows, and it'll explain to you how, what each thing is, how to look at it, how it all relates to one another, and most importantly, how someone like Warren Buffett might look at some of these numbers and use that information to determine whether a business has a durable competitive advantage or not. So this has been one of the best resources for me, and I still have I've learned a lot about looking at that stuff these last few years. I still have so much to learn, and I still have so much practice that I need to implement and get better at that stuff. But this has been a really great resource for me, and I'd highly recommend it to any investor out there. So yeah, and my plan is I'm just going to keep going, start to finish in this book, a chapter a day, pretty much forever, until I feel like it's no longer necessary. But I think it's just to continuously go through it. It's just a good refresher on all the information. So this is, I think, my second time going through this book, and I'm certainly seeing things in it and learning things in it that I didn't understand the first time around. So let's see. To be for her says, "Hi Ryan, I'm 52 and just started investing thanks to you and Professor G. You think I will make it? Thanks, Alberto. I absolutely think you will make it. I was actually with I said this earlier in the stream, but I actually was with Professor G yesterday. He was in Vegas for these last couple of days, so we were able to get together. But yeah, great job getting started. I think that it's important to keep in mind, like, you're not alone. I see so many comments and get so many emails from people who are about your age who've just started investing, and I think it's better late than never for sure. Anything's better than nothing. So I absolutely think you will make it. And at 52 in this day and age, at least in my opinion, you still have so much life ahead of you at 52 years old. You could be investing consistently for the next 20 years and really you could really build up a solid portfolio in 20 years. That might seem like it's a long time, 20 years, but in the grand scheme, like across a long and fruitful life, 20 years it's a small percentage of that. And 20 years from today, you'll be 72 years old, and hopefully you'll still have a lot of life left in you. If you take care of yourself, you should. And so, yeah, I certainly think you can make it. You just got to keep going and keep climbing. And keep doing the best you can. That's all we can do. But yeah, you can absolutely make it. You're on the right path. So I knew this was going to come. I knew it, Kevin. I knew it. I didn't know you were going to say it, but I knew someone's going to say it. New Saturday morning stream, coffee and cash flow. We're doing it. Maybe, we'll see. This is fun. I don't know that I can do the Friday night stream and a Saturday morning stream though. Uh-oh, there we go. Dean says the Lean Mean Dean Machine coming to Vegas in August. Yeah, get in touch with me, Dean. if time permits and everything, it'd be fun to get together for a beer or a margarita or something, or even a cup of coffee. Yeah, Mark here says, "What's your long-term opinion of SCHD? I think you're bullish, but don't know if anything better exists." Yeah, I certainly am. I just think that the overall objective of SCHD is pretty in line with what I might look for. Businesses with um, reliable cash flows who have a history of paying and growing their dividends. Um, I think that's pretty in line with how I try to pick individual stocks in my own portfolio. And sure, SCHD's kind of had I don't want to say a tough run, but kind of sorta really this last year and some change. But otherwise, it's been a really strong performing fund, and I think that will continue to be the case as time goes on, just based on the objective. And I'll be interested to see too what I'll be interested to see too once all of the information surrounding this year's reconstitution. I'll be interested to see what they decided to add to the portfolio, what they decided to remove. Um, but there's some really solid companies inside of SCHD, and so I'm happy to. I mean, Williams-Sonoma's up there in SCHD too. Williams-Sonoma, AbbVie's in there. You got some really great companies, and so it's one that I'm happy to dollar cost average into every week. And I think it's a really solid balance with something like VU, or with the S&P 500, where you'll generate, really solid with the S&P 500, some dividends, low mid 1% yield, decent dividend growth rate, but you should get really nice share price appreciation over the years. And I think that balances out well with SCHD, which also has done pretty solid in terms of share price appreciation, but certainly gives you a little bit of a boost in the dividend yield department as well as dividend growth. So I think SCHD right now we're looking at a mid 3% yield, maybe like 3 point. Let's just go look at it. I mean, we have the capacity to do that. So let's go check it out. But as far as dividend stats go, I don't think you can beat SCHD. So we're looking at a 3.4% yield, 13% 5-year growth rate. So and just looking at the dividend growth over the years, I mean, this is exactly what you want to see, right? 10 years ago, $1.05 compared to $2.66. So it's more than doubled. The dividend per share has more than doubled in the last 10 years. So that's really fantastic. And it's pretty hard to beat. But there's some other really great ETFs out there as well. VIG is really solid. DGRO, I think, is really solid. VYM, did I already say VIG? I think I did. VIG, so there are a lot of great dividend ETFs out there, and I really don't think you need like 5 or 6 different ETFs in your portfolio. I think probably one or two, honestly, is more than enough. Maybe 3 max, but if you're going to have 3, make sure that they're kind of, the utility from them is different purposes. So, let's see. Let's keep going. Yeah, exactly. The dividend recovery hour with Ryan. I know. Tony, this is a good question. So, anyone else having spreadsheet issues with dividend yield and dividend breakdown? So, let me show you what's going on. So, and for anyone who's experiencing issues with the spreadsheet, just send me an email and I'll send you an updated copy of the template. So the dividend information, if we go over here to the spreadsheet, you can see that, so in this column here, you can see that there's a formula for FinViz. FinViz is the website where the dividend information gets pulled from. So if we go to FinViz, okay, let's just type in, give me a stock. Let's just go Williams-Sonoma, for example, the first one to come to mind. So over here, Williams-Sonoma, the spreadsheet is going to pull the information from this table here. And recently, FinViz made a change to how they present this information. It used to just show this dividend, the dividend payment per share, this 424. That's all it used to show. Then there was a separate row or a separate cell for the dividend yield. Or it just wasn't listed, I guess. It was somewhere else, long story short, or in other words. But they recently changed it to now show both in the same cell right here. And that screwed things up here on the spreadsheet. If we change this, for example, let's just change the color to black. you can see that that's how it populates right here, the dividend per share amount and then the dividend yield, same way it's presented here on FinViz. So that was causing issues on the spreadsheet. And so I had to go pretty much update it and switch it out so it presents the information in the way that we want it to be shown. And so with that said, if you want to get the new updated template that actually works, just shoot me an email at ryan@retirewithryan.com, and I'd be more than happy to send you this updated template. One other thing to keep in mind, or one other thing to note, some others have said that they downloaded the spreadsheet. Everything else works besides the dividend stuff, kind of like you were saying, but it's for a different reason. They've downloaded the updated spreadsheet, but the dividend information still doesn't work, still doesn't load. So upon opening the spreadsheet, the new updated template, you'll have to open it on, the only people having this issue too are those who've opened it on their phone or like an iPad or something like that. You have to open it up on a desktop or a laptop. And upon doing so, there will be like an orange bar here with some information. And it's basically requesting access to load third-party data into the spreadsheet. And that third-party data being the data here from FinViz. So if you open up the spreadsheet, you'll have to click the orange allow access button because that's what's going to give the spreadsheet the green light to start pulling that data. So sorry for the tangent. Hopefully all that made sense. So let's see here, guys. Oh, this is awesome. Dave says, I've been slowly investing in crypto the last 3 to 4 years. I've accumulated about 40K. Once the bull run starts after the halving, I'm going to sell and pay off my house, I hope. That's awesome. Good job. Man, that'll be so nice to just have the house paid off. I'm renting right now, but someday I really look forward to being able to be mortgage free and just not have that high monthly overhead. I just think that'll be such a huge weight off of my shoulders. And I'm sure that anyone else who has done that experiences the same thing. So let's see. Now just a few minutes behind here in the chat. Oh yeah, Dorte says, what about Altria Group? Yeah, so let's get into Altria. So this is something I've been talking to Russ and Harris about. I've kind of just something I've been chewing on lately. I have Altria in my portfolio, and it's done okay for me. The share price gains aren't too tremendous, but on a total return basis, this is a pretty solid performer for me. I'm up 24%. So that's done pretty well. But recently, guys, I'm sure some of you caught this news. Altria announced that they would be selling off 35 million of their Anheuser-Busch shares. So they own I think a 10% stake. Maybe I'll have that wrong, but they own a certain amount of Anheuser-Busch. Maybe it's not 10%. I might be incorrect on that. But anyway, they own a lot of the stock, and that stock pays them dividends. So that's something that they're able to generate some income from. But they announced that they will be selling 35 million shares and will use that money. Oh no, ABI. And then Altria will use that money to increase its existing $1 billion share repurchase program by $2.4 billion. So yeah, they're going to be doing some pretty hefty share buybacks here in the near future, with a lot of that being funded by selling off the Bud shares. Now, when I was talking to Russ and Harris about this, at first glance, like at the first thought is like, oh, they're trying to do stuff to artificially raise the earnings per share, just kind of as a little bit of an explanation on that. So when you buy back shares, when you buy back shares, there are less shares in circulation, less shares outstanding. When there are less shares outstanding, certain metrics like earnings per share will raise. If earnings stayed the same, but there were less shares outstanding, the earnings per share would increase because the number of shares in the denominator, earnings divided by number of shares, the number of shares in the denominator of that calculation would go down, which would raise the earnings per share. Hopefully that makes sense. And so at first glance, you might look at that and think, oh, shoot, Altria is, they're trying to boost their earnings per share by buying back more shares. I mean, they're not the only one that does this. This is a pretty common thing. And so, it kind of seems like at first it's like, oh, they're selling off assets on their balance sheet to buy back shares to keep their earnings per share growing. But which may not be what you want. You'd rather see earnings per share go up as a result of increased earnings. You'd rather see the number in that numerator um, increase as a result of increased sales. But anyway, the I what was I going to say? This now I'm going to start getting tongue tied. I apologize. So with this news, it can seem unideal to some. It can seem good to some. A lot of the comments, if you go look at that article, were good. People were happy that they were selling shares, which it actually seems to make sense in my opinion. So Anheuser-Busch, it's really not been performing very well. So they're kind of, in a sense, losing money. Let's look at the 10-year period. They've lost some money holding on to shares of Bud. It seems like the longer time goes on, the more that they're losing money from owning this. And actually, I think they just recently cut their dividend sometime in the last year, maybe. When was it? Sometime recently, because they have a negative 5-year growth rate. Let's actually look at it here. Yeah, so right in here, they reduced their dividend. So it's kind of good. It's like, cool, let's sell off some of these underperforming assets. We can use that to buy back shares. Anheuser-Busch were losing money by buying back Altria shares, which are yielding 9-something%. We're in effect getting like a 9% return on the shares that we buy back. So it's certainly good. So from that standpoint, I'm starting to find my groove with this whole explanation. From that standpoint, it seems like a good thing that they are going to be selling off some of that to buy back shares. And it's not a bad time for Altria too. In the last year, they're down 6.5%. So shares are a little bit cheaper than they were. Ideally, it would have been cool if they bought back just a ton right here, sub 40, because it's jumped about almost 9% in the last month. But still, this is not a terrible price to buy at. The PE ratio is 8.7. Where is this in relation? It's about 12% below the 5-year average PE ratio. So on a relative basis, it may be a little bit discounted. So the move, I think, makes sense. But here's the thing, just kind of zooming out. Here's the thing about Altria Group in general. So going back to this earnings per share thing, you can increase earnings per share 2 different ways. Increasing your earnings, lowering your shares outstanding, or just a combination of the two. Ideally, you'd like to see a combination of the two, but I think what's more important is to see the earnings go up. And there's a couple different ways that the earnings can go up from here. Earnings can go up as a result of more sales coming in. So the business generating more sales, more money coming into the business, which would then hopefully mean that more is flowing down to that bottom line, which would increase the earnings, which on a per share basis should increase as well. So that's one way that you can increase earnings. Another way that you can increase earnings is by cutting costs and becoming more profitable over time. And you can look at this chart right here, revenue compared to gross profit, and just looking at the visuals, you can see that that's the case. Revenue, for the most part, has been pretty flat here with Altria. Across the last 10 years, they've only managed to grow their annual sales by about $2 billion, it looks like. So not huge revenue growth, whereas gross profit has grown by a more aggressive rate. And if we look at this on the profits as a percent of revenue, we can see that they have really become more profitable over time, which is good. 56% gross profit margin, which is still pretty solid, up to almost 70%. That's great. Operating margin, 43% to 60%, net income margin, 28% to about 40%. So that all looks really good, which means that more money is flowing to the bottom line because they're becoming more profitable, which, in effect should increase their earnings per share here. And so that's good to see, but I think there's only so far that they can go with those two things. They can only buy back so many shares. Altria Group can only buy back so many shares. Altria Group can only cut costs so much until there's a point where you just can't find costs to cut, in which case the earnings per share would, I mean, those are the only couple of things that are growing this earnings per share. And there's some years where it doesn't even grow. There's periods where it trends down. And so looking at it from a long-term perspective, I don't know if that's how you want. I don't know if that's the best way for this company to grow their earnings per share. I think those two things are important. It's great to see a company becoming more profitable over time. It's cool to see them buying back shares, especially right now. And it's also good to see them selling off some underperforming assets and maybe allocating that money to a place where it'll generate a higher return. But a really big missing component to all of this for Altria Group is the revenue growth. The top line's not grown at all, and this is like kind of the lifeblood of everything else. If this isn't growing, then like at some point, everything else that they're doing is going to come to a standstill. Like I said, there's only so many costs that you can cut, and there's only so many shares that you can buy back. And this is especially true while they, want to keep their dividend growth streak alive and continue paying and growing their dividend. And so that's the big question mark with Altria Group. I mean, the reason sales haven't grown as much, or really hardly at all these last 10 years, is because the company's main revenue driver, which is combustibles, cigarettes, cigars, stuff like that, less people are consuming those products. And so Altria Group is in this position where they have to try and switch gears and transition to other things that are going to drive, just kind of reignite this revenue growth. And that's where things like, that was their attempt with Juul. They're kind of trying to make something happen with cannabis and something. They have some investments there. And that's the big question mark surrounding this company is these other things, and also chewing tobacco as well, oral pouches, whatever, which actually have grown, but it's still a very small percentage of their revenue. And so that's the big question mark surrounding Altria Group, is as less people are consuming their main revenue driver, are they going to be able to transition to these other things to start growing their sales again? And it's TBD. In the meantime, at least I will say, at least they are making solid efforts to cut costs and become more profitable and do more with the money that they do have coming in. There will come a point in time where it's just not going to be effective anymore. And at which point, what do you do? Like, where do you go from there? And so they're going to have to fix the revenue growth issue. And there's a lot riding, I guess, tying all this together, there's a lot riding on this whole transition that they're trying to accomplish. And we'll see if they are able to pull that off. We'll see. But anyway, those were the thoughts that I wanted to share on Altria Group. I know that was I kind of stumbled my way through a lot of that, but those are just been some of my thoughts around the company lately. So I want to see what you guys have to say, though. So let's see. Vacation time. The move will save Altria on their dividend payouts too. Yes, it will save them on their dividend payouts. He's talking about the shares outstanding, because when there's less shares outstanding, they don't have to pay the dividend to as many shares. So the dividend will be, that will help with the dividend sustainability for sure. Dividend Dude says, Altria having their main consumer base in decline is what worries me. I don't see how they can make up those profits in the long term. Yeah, sure. Exactly. Let's see. Duke here says, Altria is smart to get out of Anheuser. They destroyed their own stock with the recent scandal, and it's not coming back. Let's see. Yeah, Joy says, Altria has increased their dividend in August. I don't think it's been a decrease since. No, not Altria decreasing their dividend. I was talking about Anheuser-Busch decreasing their dividend. So, but yeah, Altria is a dividend king. They've been growing their dividend for, I think, 54 years. Yeah, 54 years. Let's see. Yeah, Frank says, it's a weird situation. They're kicking the can down the road. The investor is addicted to the dividend. Yeah. Yeah. You certainly aren't buying it for its share price growth, but I still think that there's a lot to like about Altria, but man, the biggest piece to the puzzle is revenue growth. Everything else, in my opinion, looks pretty solid, but that's a huge thing. And I mean, this business has been around for a long, long time too. So um, at some point revenue growth is bound to slow down, but it's if they keep losing customers, if their main customer base is not using their products as much or whatever, and they've tried to offset that by raising prices and stuff like that. But once again, there's only so far you can go with that before the consumer decides it's too expensive and not worth paying for. Um, but anyway, we'll see. We'll see what happens with Altria. Um, Jonah says, "How are you dollar cost averaging into an ETF when the market is pushing all time highs? Kind of limits your returns." No, I don't know. I mean, if the market's continuing to push into all time highs, then every time I'm dollar cost averaging, I'm making a return on that investment. And sure, there will come a time where we'll see a pullback in the market and stocks will go down in price, but that's the ebbs and flows of the market. That's happened as long as the market's been around. It goes up, it goes down, it goes up, it goes down. But historically, it's gone up considerably more than it goes down, and there's no telling when it will change directions and stuff like that. And so, with that said, when it comes to ETFs and dollar cost averaging, I'm not really trying to time it. Like the market is at all time highs now, but today's all time highs are tomorrow's 52-week lows. So, um, across a long period of time, it's a fine strategy. So yeah, and Fabio says, I don't see a turnaround for the company, so I sold my position this week. And that's kind of what the point I was trying to arrive at when it comes to my position, at least. If we go over to the screen here, and we're gonna wrap up the stream here in just a couple of minutes, by the way, guys. Here's my Altria position right now. So I have 56 shares right here. Highlight that. 56 shares, and it currently makes up 4.2% of my total portfolio. So it's kind of a mid-sized position for me. But this is also 9.5% of the overall the total income being generated by the portfolio. So it's a much bigger chunk of my income than it is just dollars invested, which makes sense. It's a high yielder. So I guess all of this is to say I'm kind of getting to a point where I may be ready to start selling off some of my Altria shares. And I don't know if I would do it all at once or do something like what Russ is doing and like selling off like 10 shares at a time or something like that. Um, but yeah, I'm kind of getting to a point with it where like I said, I just feel like there's so much riding on this transition, and I'd rather put these funds or have these funds invested in a company that's not banking on something that will happen, but is able to be successful on things that they're currently doing, and that's going to be intact. Um, the problem is though, and this is where you kind of get into trouble with investing in high yield stocks. It's like they can be hard to get rid of because that yield's so high. You don't want to sell and take too many steps backwards in terms of your dividend income. So you don't want to sell and lose out on a ton of income, which makes it a hard sell. And so that could potentially lead you to hold on to some of these companies longer than you maybe should, just because you're afraid of taking steps backwards in income. So what I'm going to consider doing, or what I'm going to consider, is looking for other places to invest these Altria funds that won't result in too much of a step backwards in income. It's okay to take one step back to take two steps forward. I've done that numerous times as far as income goes in the portfolio, and it's worked out just fine. But I just got to figure out what that looks like. I think EPD could be a good candidate for reinvestment. EPD, WP Carry, I might be okay putting some into that right now. I'm down quite a bit on that. Realty Income, that might be another good spot to park it. Maybe some more Main Street Capital Corporation as well. We'll see. We'll see. But if Altria is going to be buying back shares, then who knows? Like maybe once they officially start doing it, maybe we'll see the earnings per share continue to go up. and maybe that will push the share price up a little bit more. So maybe I'll be able to squeeze out a little bit more share price gains before selling. But at this time, I'm up 3%. Like I said, total return basis, I'm up 24%. So, fortunately, I've made money on the investment so far. So, okay, guys. Let's see. Yeah, guys, I think it's a pretty good place to wrap it up. Let me see if there's any last questions here. Okay. Um, yeah. There's this thought with Altria too. People will always use tobacco. Yeah, I think so too. I just think that perhaps the way that they do so is kind of in flux. So we'll see what that looks like and what that means for Altria. Excuse me. Any last questions? I did see we'll make this the last question here, guys. Dom wants to know, is only investing in dividend ETFs too low risk? No, I mean, I don't think so. And it's always interesting to me when I hear people say you need to take on more risk, you need to be more risky and stuff like that. And, I just think it depends. I think that everyone's different. And I think that you've got to invest in a way that works for you. I mean, I personally am not a very risk. I personally try to avoid risk when I can, and I think that by doing so, you can actually. I mean, I think you really should shoot to do that when it comes to investing. I don't think high risk, high reward always works out the way that people intend it to, and I think especially in down markets, if you can put yourself in a position where your portfolio is seeing less drawdowns than the rest of the market as a whole, then when things finally do turn back around and start climbing again, that better performance during the downtimes can actually lead you to outperform overall when times are good. It just depends, obviously, but yeah, I think you need to just figure out where your risk tolerance is at. And a lot of people say, yo, you're young, you should take on more risk, but I don't know if that's always the case. I think it just depends on the individual. So let's see, Nehemiah, how long have you had Altria shares for? I've had them. This was like one of the first stocks I bought, actually. So I've had Altria for the last 3-4 years. So, but yeah, guys, unused soldier, inflation right now is proof that cost of things, including nicotine, is not a concern. People will pay. Yeah, people certainly will pay. That's why they're continuing to generate sales. But there will come a time where they won't be able to, where they've raised it so far that there's a breaking point. I don't think I ever said that they've reached that point, but that point does exist. And at some point it could be reached. So especially if you're raising prices considerably above just the cost of inflation, people expect prices to go up, but the rate at which it does, people don't want it to go too much faster than inflation, I'd imagine. So yeah, Shamir says, hey, Ryan, better get to your Chipotle leftovers before they're all gone. I actually went to Chipotle the other night for the first time in like a couple months. I went to Chipotle. It was delicious too. I went on Thursday night and I don't have any leftovers, unfortunately, but, anyway, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Solid hour and 10 minutes. Good little Saturday morning stream. But I want to thank you guys. There's still a lot of us here in the stream, 160 people. Good turnout today, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this last hour. And once again, I'm really sorry for not. I'm really sorry that I'm really sorry that I wasn't able to do this last night. But hopefully, this makes up for it today. And with that said, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. Keep up the great work. And do like Kevin says, hit that like button. Yeah, that's about it. But if you guys want to get my portfolio tracking spreadsheet, once again, link in the description. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. And I'll see you in the next one. I got a fun video coming out for you guys tomorrow. So definitely make sure and tune into that. But I actually got to work on that starting right now. But yeah, you guys all have a great day. And I'll see you in the next one.